Someone asked me, Hippie, is that all you do is work, 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 and work? Do you do anything for fun? I work on my homestead, even though it's extremely hard work. I call that fun, satisfying, rewarding, in more ways than a lot of people can imagine. I really enjoy how I live. I'm getting older. I've got to adjust and modify. And I'm modifying how I do certain things. And I've got to modify some more. I have to make things a little bit easier on my body. So that's hard to swallow, right? But it is what it is, and I've been prepared for it and am preparing for it. And again, I knew this day was going to come. So, what do I do for fun? Now, I homestead, I research, I learn. That's what I do for fun. It's very satisfying for me, and it fulfills my fun gauge. It really does. What did I used to do before I took up homesteading? I was very active, folks. I had my hands in a lot of things. I used to go hiking an awful lot. I've climbed Katahdin, I don't know how many times, Mount Katahdin. I've climbed Cadillac Mountain. I've climbed Borestone. I like to keep busy, folks, and I like to adventure. So I used to do a lot of hiking, fishing, exploring, hunting. I also got into rock hounding for a little bit, but what was more exciting for me than that and more of a challenge was gold panning. I have 2 or 3 sluices here, gold sluices, and I have a variety of gold pans, a backpack that I used to put everything on, and we would just set a compass and go and see if we couldn't find some gold. Well, gold in Maine, most people go to Coos Canyon. That's the western mountains of Maine. Everybody goes there, folks. And they have found some, excuse me, they have found some nuggets, a lot of dust, a lot of promise. And you could dredge there. Or used to be able to dredge there. So that's where we all started. There was a handful of us, and that's quite a ways from here. That was quite a haul. So you was tired before you even got there, right? So then we explored different places like Wilton, Maine. That was over there quite a ways as well from where we started out. And you used to be able to years ago, because gold likes to settle into anything that it can get caught up on. The grass or the stream greenery, the grass or weeds or whatever you want to call them. You used to be able to put your pan down, lift up that clump of grass, and let the sediments go into your pan, and then you go pan it. That's where the gold was, folks. But then they stopped that. You can't touch the vegetation at all, okay? So, which is probably a good thing. Erosion and all of that stuff, right? So, we were satisfied with that. But we wanted more adventure. So we went to another place where we went as far as we could drive. We packed all our gear into backpacks, and some of those were pretty heavy. I think mine was like 70 pounds at the time. And we set our compass, and then we hiked. And it was the worst traveling, folks, of any place I had ever been in the woods. There were great big boulders that were moss covered, that was really slippery. If you could work around the boulders, that was good, but a lot of times you had to climb right up over the top of it, which means you had to take your backpack off, lift that 70 pounds up over your head onto the rock, and then you had to climb on the rock, push the backpack over on the other side, and then you had to climb down, and it was constant. It took us over 3 hours just to get to a ground where we could walk with our backpacks. It was exhausting, folks, even when I was younger and in really good shape. We hiked about a half a day, and we decided, well, if we had to stay the night, we hiked in and we found a place to camp. Then we would do some primitive camping and then hit the stream, the brook, the next day, and then walk back out. We had joked, yeah, that'll be the time we find all kinds of gold, which is very heavy. And then we struggled to get in with those heavy packs. We'd have the weight of the gold to go back with, right? We had joked about that. So we got in there and we hiked about half a day. And then we heard what we thought was a generator. So we kind of followed that noise. It was right along the stream. We didn't do any test panning or anything. But the closer we got to it, the louder the generator came. And we're like, who the hell is way in here and hauled a generator all this way? Because that must have been hell. That must have been hell getting that generator in there. So it turned out to be a little motor, a little gas-powered motor. One of the guys went ahead, and he came back probably 20 minutes later, and he said, we got to go. And we're like, what do you mean? We just took half a day to hike in here. What do you mean we got to go? He said, we've got to go. He said, I got to a spot where it was a great big hole in the ground with a ledge, and there was waterfalls coming over it, and there was a big pool. He said it looked really deep. And there was a man in there. He said it looked like a wild man who had a gun with a barrel like this. And that was a dredge that we were hearing. He had a little camp set up in there. And he said he looked over. The man had, just before the man come up from dredging and saw my friend, he looked over and there was a quart jar with gold nuggets in it. He said that was almost half full. So this man was very serious in what he was doing, and he did not want anyone encroaching on his area. So the man come up, spotted my friend, reached over and grabbed that gun and pointed it right at him and told him to get the out of here. My friend, who was not scared of anything, big burly man, he said, I've never had a gun pointed at me with a man that looked like a wild caveman, pissed off. He said he meant business. So we left. we left. We never went back. No, that was his spot. He could have every bit of it. So there is gold in Maine. There is, mostly it's gold powder, gold dust, a few flakes, very few nuggets. Gold is where you find it, folks. And sometimes it follows a rule of thumb, sometimes flooding, because this was right after a big flood that Maine had. So it displaced a lot of gold. So even outside of the streams and rivers and brooks, where it had flooded and cut a new path, you could dig a hole and find gold. It's very sparse. You really have to work for it. You have to know the lay of the land. You have to know what you're looking for. You have to know. There goes all the ducks. They're going down to the bog. You have to know the material that it likes to be in. So there are places a lot closer, and there's places that's a lot safer to play and dabble, just panning for gold, right? Digging for gold or whatever. So up here in Maine, you have to have a permit to dredge, and it can't be bigger than this or that, and you can't block the stream and all of that. Dredging, you can move a lot more material than you can with a shovel and a 5-gallon pail and a sluice and a pan, right? That is it. I hope this answered a little bit of your question. These are some of the things that I don't mind talking about at all. And I hope this satisfied your curiosity. And you all have a good night. I'm gonna grab an armload of wood, go in where it's a little bit warmer, and tend to my birds here in about a half hour or so. So you all have a good night. You be good and be safe out there.